So we wanted to reach out to underprivileged societies, especially children, because we feel that they're the future of today, and only if they're given the opportunity to learn about what's happening with our environment, that they can carry forward this knowledge and actually make a impact. So that's why we wanted to reach out to multiple NGOs and conduct these sessions just about climate change and what it is and what they can do at their level to help.
So we start with very basic stuff like what is climate change. So one example that we thought of is like we imagine the earth as a big blanket that keeps us warm. But when this blanket gets thicker or thinner, it changes the weather and the temperatures around, which also changes your comfort level while living in this planet. We will also use a lot of images and like animations, which would be easier for them to understand. So the blanket sort of represents the atmosphere, which helps keep the planet warm. And examples like there have been more hot days and unusual weather like heavy rain or storms.
And then we wanted to like actually mention how it's affecting us personally, like how like if some certain people have been getting more sick due to climate change, like they've been fainting, or because of the pollution we have to wear like masks, like in Delhi, for example. So we also are using a lot of examples that like that they can relate to, so they can actually understand it properly. And we also then we after talking about the impact on us, we talk about the impact that it can have on nature, like the animals and the plants, and how it can harm them. And then at the end we wanted to also talk about the things that they can do at home to help towards climate change and help contribute. And then we also want to include like a small activity at the end, which we haven't decided.
So do you have a PowerPoint deck, or how is it you're planning to do it through video, PowerPoint, or how is it?
Well,
Through PowerPoint, right? Slides, and you'll have
yeah.
embedded videos and a lot of stuff to show them during the
Yeah,
presentation.
we'll make it very visual, so it's
Visual.
more easier to
Okay, so
get
when this will
understood.
be ready? Because if I have to see a dry run of your presentation, so that I can then talk to government schools and tell them that these two girls want to conduct a workshop for you. So when will you be ready with the dry run to conduct this kind of? I can invite maybe few other people to be part of this.
We want to do the actual thing in September.
You are reaching out to the kids in India, right? Is that
Yeah,
is that
it's
what
in
you're?
India.
Okay. Have you approached any other NGO before this?
Yeah, so there's Children of India Foundation who
Hmm.
we're
Okay.
planning to work with.
And then there's Pragna Foundation. I think it's in Delhi, so we're also trying to work with.
Hmm. Okay. And these NGOs that you have interacted with, are they from the urban areas, or are they working for children in the rural areas?
One of them is based in Bangalore, and one
Okay.
is
Delhi, but they work for children in rural areas.
Rural areas, okay. Now, one thing that came to my mind was that no, you conduct a 1 hour kind of a workshop for the children, right? And that will
Yeah.
be
yeah.
in English. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think it's good to be in English so they can learn new vocabulary. But we
Okay.
can speak. Most of us can speak Hindi. I can speak Tamil and Marathi and Malayalam. We have team members, so if they ever need any help, we can always switch languages.
Okay. No, why I was asking this is because I know even I would also like our kids to hear something in English, but then the challenges in the rural areas is their lack of proficiency in English, and they may want some kind of at least 50% in the local language. For example, you said Tamil, but Kannada. For we focus on Karnataka for the moment now. No, I can also connect you to Maharashtra-based NGO, but then yeah, since our focus is on Karnataka, I have control over a couple of government schools in here, where we could have done this program. But the challenge is, if you speak only in English with them, they might not understand, the message that you are going to perhaps spread to them. So that's my concern. So are you? I was thinking, if you are open to ideas or suggestions, where today, thanks to AI, thanks to a lot of technology is available, language is not really a barrier, to be very honest.
Yeah.
Language is not a barrier. If you have the text ready, you can put it in. Of course, you can't rely on Google Translate to translate from English to Kannada or any language. There'll bound to be a lot of grammatical mistakes. Yet we can ask somebody to translate, expert in Kannada to translate from English to that language, and then put that in AI or put that in a voice,
Right.
kind of thing, and it'll seem as if you're talking to them in Kannada, whereas you're speaking in English, something like that. So, are you looking for such kind of tech-based solution to maybe supplement your effort?
Would it be possible if there's a teacher with them who could
Yeah.
translate in
No, that is
the
certainly going to happen because, and even to be honest, even teachers may not understand the English that you are speaking. I'm being very honest, because we also conduct spoken English classes now. We are launching one for the government school teachers. We have done one. We are planning to do one more now. But here again, the challenge is the teachers themselves, English teachers themselves, struggle to speak in English. That is the reality. I'm not saying only in Karnataka. It's worse as you go north in India. So maybe in Kerala, maybe in some states which are highly progressive, or they might speak. Even in Karnataka, there are few teachers I've interacted with. They have speak very good English, but you can't expect the same with all the teachers, even English teachers. I'm saying. So there's bound to be some challenge. So unless you come up with, like Marathi you mentioned, Tamil you mentioned, but I'm more concerned about Kannada because we cater to the government schools in Karnataka for the moment. I'm trying to see if there could be some options to help you reach out to them. I'm surprised that a lot of kids from Dubai are very keen to. I mean, I want to ask that question later on to help children in India, rural kids in India, which I don't see even our Indian students, from college taking so much interest in their own country. But whereas you expats, you are trying to do something for the kids in India. So that is really extremely, heartwarming. As what is it that make you students from Dubai contribute to our Indian education system? I want to know. Is there some incentive you get, or is it something like your inner satisfaction, or what prompts you to do these kind of projects for Indian kids?
Like we all visit in Dubai. I think most of us visit India very often because we have lots of relatives. So when we go there, we see like lots of people who are just living on the streets without any proper food, and like seeing that, and we don't see any of that in Dubai. So seeing that, we feel very privileged, and we really want to do something to help them. And like recently, also I had a workshop with a few kids, and I got to teach them, and it was like very heartwarming to like teach them and like how enthusiastic they are, and it's just we want to give them an opportunity because they are also very eager to learn. So we like that we have the capacity to give them the opportunity, and they have the capacity to learn as well. So.
Okay, so you answered my question. But I also hope our Indian students also contribute like you, which is very rare. I was talking about a Dubai-based student who is almost the same age as you, about 17 years old. She has now developed a financial literacy app for people in India. Actually, it's not just for children; it's for adults as well. Where she talks about, or where the app talks about different government schemes that the poor people can take benefit of. The underprivileged can take benefit. So, but again, her challenge again is the same. It's in English. So, how many of them can even read English? Or even if it is in the local language, for example, Hindi or Kannada or Tamil, how many of them can even read their own local language? So, these are the challenges which perhaps you guys are not aware of. Being there. The app that we have developed recently, Sulabh, was developed by Swiss students. But I was guiding them throughout, because they live in a different world. They think everything is perfect in India. People, all these things they hear, IT capital of the world, so they think everyone speaks English. I said that is not the reality, because I go to government schools, I go to rural areas, I've seen the reality. Reality is quite different. As I told you, English teachers themselves, they cannot speak proper English. No, so that is the biggest challenge that I'm seeing, and I pity the students who learn English from them. Okay, so that's the reason why we started this, online spoken English for the teachers who can then teach the students, not the students directly, because the teachers themselves need the education. Okay, so what I propose is, no, perhaps in your case, maybe instead of, as you rightly said in the beginning, instead of directly jumping into students, maybe we can do this for the teachers themselves as the primary, beneficiaries, with students in the background. Perhaps it's like the teach the teacher mode, where you teach them and then expect these teachers to perhaps teach their students what they have understood from the workshop. So that could be one mode I can think of, like how we started spoken English, financial literacy, and a lot of other courses that we are doing, soft skills and communication skills program and all. We are focusing more on the teachers than going to the students directly, because that's the biggest challenge: the communication, the language barrier. These are the challenges that we are facing.